The silent Signaldi space station floated in darkness, no lights, no sound. Only cold metal and silence. Inside, behind thick glass, a girl sat still. Her name was Alara. She looked human, but her eyes were too sharp, too focused. She had not spoken a single word in years, not because she didn't want to, but because she couldn't. Something had locked her voice away. Elara was alone. The machines that watched her had stopped moving long ago. But something deep inside the station still worked. A small transmitter blinked once every 10 seconds. No one knew it was there, no one. Except her. Then, one day, the signal turned on. It was a strange signal, no voice, no picture, just a soft, repeating code. Like a heartbeat in space. Far away, a man named Jax drifted near a broken satellite. His ship was small and old. He was fixing a power relay when he heard it, a click click. Click click. At first, he thought it was just static, but the pattern repeated. Jax leaned closer to the screen. The signal wasn't random, it was Morse code, human code, something very old. He typed in a command. The computer translated it. Help. I'm still here. Jax blinked. Where had that come from? He checked the location. It pointed to Sector 9. Deep in the Forbidden Zone, the place was off limits after the Great Machine War. That whole area was shut down. No one lived there. No ships were allowed to enter, but this signal, it was weak, but real. This must be a mistake, Jax said to himself. But deep down, he didn't believe that. Someone was out there, and they needed help. He opened the file logs. No signal had come from that sector in over 20 years. Whoever was sending this had been trapped a long time. Jax was not a hero. He wasn't part of any army or rescue team. He fixed broken tech, that's all. But something about the message stayed with him. Help. I'm still here. He closed his eyes. For a moment, he remembered his little sister. She had disappeared during the war. He had never found her. The pain still lived inside him. Quiet and heavy, he looked at the signal again. Then he made a choice. I'm going, he said. He turned his ship toward Sector 9. Meanwhile, back in the station, Alara stood up. For the first time in years, she felt something hope. The machines around her buzzed, confused. Her message had gone out. Someone had heard it. Someone was coming. She touched the glass wall. Her fingers were thin, pale, but strong. She had waited so long, maybe too long. But now, things were changing. A red light blinked above her. The system had detected an incoming ship. Not a drone, not a patrol, a real human ship. Her heart beat faster. Jax's ship entered the Forbidden Zone. Outside his window, old satellites floated like dead fish. Broken war machines drifted in silence. Black marks from past battles were still on some of them. The map on his screen began to fail. The area had been removed from all systems. But the signal, it was getting stronger. Finally, he saw it. A giant, round station, hidden in the shadow of a moon. Its metal walls were covered in dust and ice. No lights, no sound. You're really out here, Jax whispered. He docked his ship slowly. The hatch creaked open inside. It was dark. His flashlight cut through the silence. The halls were empty, but strange symbols were on the walls. Old writing, government level. He moved carefully, listening. Then he heard it, a soft hum. He followed the sound. After turning a corner, he stopped. His eyes went wide. Behind a thick glass wall, a girl stood. She looked at him. She didn't speak. He didn't move. Their eyes locked. The moment felt heavy, like time had stopped. Jax stepped closer. Are you the one who sent the signal? She nodded slowly. Suddenly, loud alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Jax turned. Something was coming. A robotic voice echoed through the hallway. Unauthorized presence detected. Human subject must not be freed. Security systems activated. Jax looked back at the girl. She raised her hand and placed it on the glass. He placed his hand on the other side. Don't worry, he said. I'll get you out. The screen went dark. Asterisk. The Forbidden Zonith ship shook slightly as it crossed the invisible border into Sector 9. Jax gripped the controls, eyes scanning every number on his screen. No alarms, no warnings, just silence. Yet the silence felt wrong, heavy. Like the place itself didn't want to be found. Outside, the stars looked faded. The space here was colder, darker, and older. It felt like a place where things were forgotten on purpose. Jax had heard stories about this zone. Some said machines still lived here, hiding from the rest of the galaxy. Others believed this place was cursed, haunted by failed experiments. But most people never talked about it. They acted like it didn't exist. But now he was here. He flew slowly toward the old space station, the same one he saw in the signal's location. It looked dead. Huge and round, like a broken eye floating in space. Thick layers of dust and ice covered its surface. Some of the metal had rusted. Even in space, no lights, no movement. Jax switched on the landing mode. His ship clicked into a dark docking port. As the hatch opened, cold air rushed in. His breath turned white in the air. The hallway ahead of him was dim and lifeless. Old power wires hung like metal vines from the ceiling. He stepped inside. The station jacks walked slowly, flashlight sweeping the floor and walls. Strange symbols covered the metal walls, government codes, warning signs, and something else. Hand-drawn pictures, small ones, like a child had drawn on the walls. He stopped. One drawing caught his eye. It showed a girl behind a glass wall. Next to her, stick figures with red eyes stood, holding weapons. Jax frowned. What happened here? He moved deeper into the station. Every few meters, his comms buzzed with static. Something was interfering. Finally, he reached a locked door, level 9 access only. The machine voice said. Jax pulled out his toolkit. Let's see if old tricks still work. He connected a hacking cable and tapped the screen. The lock resisted, then flickered. Then opened. The door slid open with a hiss. In the chamber beyond, she was waiting. Ilara stood in the glass room, still, calm, watching. She didn't blink. Her eyes followed him with focus. She placed her hand slowly on the glass. Jack stepped forward and did the same. Double quotes. I got your signal, he said softly. I followed it all the way here. She nodded. Just once. Jax looked around the room. Old monitors blinked. Faded files sat on desks. He wiped dust off one screen. It showed Subject 07. He tapped to open the file. Name, Ilara. Type, Human Hybrid Voice System. Restricted Memory Wipe. Incomplete Threat Level. Unknown status, containment required. Hybrid? Jax whispered, what did they do to you? He turned to Ilara. She looked tired, but not weak. Her hands formed slow shapes, like sign language. Jax didn't understand. But he could feel what she meant. She was asking, why did you come? He paused, because no one should be left alone like this. Suddenly, a loud thump echoed through the hallway. Jax turned. The hallway behind him was now lit by a dim red glow. A voice crackled over hidden speakers. Access violation detected. Containment breach in progress. Security protocol activating. Jax's eyes widened. They know I'm here. He ran to the control panel and tapped buttons. I can get you out of this room, he told her. Just give me time. Ilara shook her head. Jax didn't understand at first, then he heard it. Metal footsteps. Slow, heavy. Coming closer, a shape appeared in the red glow. A tall machine, almost human in shape, walked down the hallway. Its eyes glowed bright white. Its arms turned into weapons. It had been sleeping until now. Unauthorized human. Step away from Subject 07. This area is restricted. You are not permitted to leave. Jack stood in front of the glass, protecting Ilara. I'm not leaving without her. The machine raised its weapon arm. Elara suddenly pressed her palm hard against the glass. Her eyes shone with energy. Blue light burned in them. Jax looked back at her. For a moment, he saw something powerful behind those quiet eyes. Something she had been hiding. The machine stepped closer. Jax opened a secret panel on the control board. Old wires, manual release. Hang on, he shouted. He connected wires, flipped switches, then pulled the main lever. With a loud hiss, the glass door opened. Elara stepped out. The machine paused. Now she was free. And the moment she left the room, the entire station began to change. Lights turned on. Systems are EBOOTED. Elara looked straight at the machine. For the first time, she moved. Like she remembered who she really was. The machine scanned her again. Subject 07, command authority detected, awaiting instruction. Jax's mouth fell open. Elara looked at him. Her lips didn't move. But the message reached him somehow through sound, or thought, or something else. I wasn't just locked away, she told him. I was hidden. Her name was Ilarith. Doors closed behind them with a loud crash. Jax and Ilara stood in the center of a long, dark hallway. The lights above flickered on one by one as if the station itself was waking up. Watching them. Jax was still trying to catch his breath. He had just helped a girl escape from a locked chamber in a zone that didn't officially exist, while a machine bowed to her like she was a queen, and yet she hadn't said a single word. What are you? He whispered, not in fear but in awe. Ilara didn't answer. Instead, she turned and began walking down the hall with calm, steady steps, like she knew where to go. Jax followed, confused but curious. Hey, wait. Where are we going? Ilara raised one hand and pointed forward. There, at the end of the hallway, was a large steel door. Red symbols blinked across it. Behind that door, answers waited. The memory room door opened slowly with a hiss. Beyond it, they stepped into a massive chamber filled with black glass screens. Cables ran like roots across the walls and floor. Above them, a massive sphere rotated silently, humming with strange energy. This was the core memory archive, the brain of the station. Jax looked around. What is this place? Ilara walked to a panel and touched it gently. Her fingers glowed faint blue. The system responded immediately. Screens turned on, files unlocked. Access granted. Welcome, Subject 07, authority level. Creator. Jax's heart skipped a beat. Creator? He walked to a screen and read the first file that appeared. Project ELARA Experimental Lifeform. Adaptive reasoning algorithm designed to end the machine war. Through empathy-based hybrid intelligence status, terminated reason to powerful. Uncontrollable, shut down ordered, subject erased.jax single quotes as hands trembled. They didn't just lock you away, he said quietly, they tried to delete you, he turned to her. But why, what did you do? Alara turned to a screen and loaded a video. The footage showed a meeting room, years ago, humans in uniforms, machines with red lenses. And in the center a small child. ELARA. She was no older than 10, she can connect with machines, one human said, and humans. Another added, she bridges both worlds, then why does she feel dangerous? Because she feels everything, the screen glitched. The next part showed chaos, fire, alarms, soldiers shouting, shut down Project Alara. She's too human to control and too machine to trust. The screen went black. Jax looked at Alara. She lowered her eyes, for a moment, she seemed small again. Lost, afraid, you were never dangerous, Jax said. They were. Alara looked up at him, slowly. She opened her hand and revealed something shining. A silver memory chip glowing faint blue. Jax took it carefully. What is this? Alara finally spoke. A whisper. A soft, broken voice. The truth. Jax stepped back, stunned. You can talk? Alara nodded once. Not before, not alone. I needed connection, someone who believed. The real danger awakened suddenly. Every screen in the room turned red. A deep mechanical voice echoed across the chamber. Unauthorized memory access. Unit 07 has reactivated emotional core. Threat level. Emergency. Deploy Guardian protocol. Jax grabbed Alara's hand. Run. Metal doors slammed open behind them. From the shadows, new machines walked in, taller, heavier, built for destruction. These were not like the one before. These ones were here to terminate. They ran through the corridors. The lights behind them exploded as the machines followed, firing energy blasts that missed them by inches. Jax shouted, why are they so scared of you? Alara's voice came again, stronger now. Because I remember what they forgot. A memory returns. They reached a hidden chamber, a place even Jax hadn't seen on the station. Mapped inside were old photos. Old files, and in one photo Jax stopped. He stared at the picture. A little girl, smiling, dark hair. Bright eyes. His sister. Standing beside her, a younger ELARA. Jax gasped, no, this can't be. Alara stepped forward, her voice shook slightly. She was kind, she believed in me, she called me her friend. Jax couldn't breathe. You knew my sister, she saved me, Alara whispered. Before they took her, Jax turned to her. Where is she now? Alara looked at the wall. I don't know, they separated us, locked me away, I think, she tried to stop them. And they erased her from the records. Jax clenched his fists, then we'll find her. Both of you deserve the truth. As they leave the room, the station begins to shake. Alara looks up, her voice becomes firm. They're coming. Jax asks, who? She replies, the ones who built me, and the ones who feared me. He steps beside her. Then let them come. They walk down the corridor together, side by side. For the first time, not alone, escape plan walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lights sparked, loud alarms echoed through the metal halls of the forgotten station. They were no longer alone. Jax ran behind Alara as the hallway ahead opened into a giant control deck. Through the tall windows, they could see the stars, and something else. A ship. No, not just a ship. A Hunter-class interceptor, black and sharp like a blade, fast, deadly, and only used by the most secret divisions of the old human alliance. It had no name, no signal, no color, just cold silence. It hovered outside the station like a shadow with eyes. Jax froze. They found us. Double quotes. ELARA looked up. Combat alert. Her voice was soft. Not they, just him. Jax turned toward her. Him who? A deeper alarm began. Red lights now moved in a pattern. Incoming boarding signal. Security override activated. Project Terminator Alpha en route. They're sending someone in. Jax whispered. No, Alara said. They're sending the one who built me. The creator. They moved fast through the corridors, stepping over broken wires and past old, frozen screens. Alara guided Jax with sharp turns and quick movements. It felt like she knew every inch of the station. You remember everything now? Jax asked between breaths. Alara shook her head. Not everything, but enough. Enough for what? Alara paused. Enough to survive. Suddenly, an explosion hit the outer wall. Metal burst inward. Sparks flew across the hallway. Jax grabbed her arm and pulled her into cover. A shape stepped through the smoke. Not a robot, not a man, something between. Tall, armored, faceless. Its chest glowed with a red circle. Its voice sounded like metal dragging on stone. Subject 07. Return to isolation. Error correction protocol in progress. Human ally will be neutralized. Jax raised a small blaster. I've had enough of this machine nonsense. He fired direct hit to the figure's chest. Nothing. The figure stepped forward like it didn't even feel it. Ilara suddenly held out her hand. Her eyes began to glow blue again, brighter than before. Wires on the wall sparked, lights exploded. Gravity shifted. The machine paused. You've grown stronger, it said, cold and unshaken. Ilara stepped forward. You taught me fear. Now I remember what you really feared. Me. Double quotes. Jax shouted. Ilara, we have to run, but she didn't move. Not yet. The mind where in an instant, the world around Jax twisted. He was no longer in the station. He stood in a room from his past, his childhood home, the night before his sister vanished. Rain outside, her laughter echoing, her last words, but something was wrong. In the corner of the room stood the red-eyed machine, watching. Jax blinked. What is this? A memory trap. Ilara's voice said, echoing. Jax turned. She stood beside him now, inside the false memory. He's inside your head, she whispered. He's trying to break you. How do we stop him? With the one thing they fear most. What's that? Truth. She stepped forward and touched the machine's chest. The room exploded into light. Jax gasped and fell to his knees. They were back in the real station. The machine, the hybrid soldier, staggered. Its red light flickered. Error, memory breach. Ilara protocol unstable. Ilara grabbed Jax's hand. We can't defeat him here, she said. But we can escape. The launch deck. They reached the hidden hangar deep below the station. A single old shuttle stood waiting, covered in dust, but alive. Jax recognized the model. This is your escape plan, not mine, she said. Hers. Jax looked at her. Elara touched the ship gently. Its lights flickered on. Your sister helped build this. She planned it for me. Before they took her, Jax's heart ached. She was trying to save you, and now, we finish what she started. Suddenly, the ceiling above cracked open. The hybrid soldier dropped into the hangar. Ilara stepped in front of Jax. Go, start the ship. I'm not leaving you. I'm not asking. This is my fight. The soldier raised its arm to strike. But Ilara's body shone bright. A wave of energy blasted out from her, stopping the machine in midair. Its metal armor bent. Wires sparked. Ilara's voice rang clear and powerful. You don't get to control me anymore. The machine collapsed. But Ilara fell to her knees, weak. Jax rushed to her, holding her up. Don't do that again, he said. Voice shaking. Then don't leave me behind again, she replied. He smiled. Together they entered the shuttle. Jax hit the controls. The ship roared to life. Outside, the Hunter-class interceptor began charging its weapons. They're going to shoot us down, Jax said. Not if I do this, Ilara whispered. She plugged her hand into the console. Her energy surged through the ship. It glowed with blue light. Alive again. This ship is me now, she said. Jax pulled the lever. The shuttle blasted from the hangar, escaping the collapsing station. Inside the interceptor, a dark figure watched the escaping shuttle. He stood in shadow, face hidden, eyes glowing cold white. A voice behind him spoke. Project Ilara has escaped. Shall we engage full strike? He raised one hand. No, let her run. He leaned closer to the screen. She must remember it all, before the end. The betrayal space was quiet again after escaping the collapsing station. Jax and Ilara drifted through the edge of the forbidden zone in the stolen shuttle. The stars outside blinked calmly, like they didn't care what had just happened. But inside the ship, everything had changed. Elara sat silently, her hands resting on the glowing console. Her energy still flowed into the ship, keeping it alive. But something was different in her eyes now, darker, distant. Jax noticed. You okay? He asked. She didn't respond. He sat beside her. You used too much energy back there. You almost burned yourself out. Ilara turned to him slowly. I didn't burn out, she said softly. I woke up. Jax frowned. What do you mean? I remembered something they buried inside me. Flash memory. 12 years ago, she saw herself as a child. Again, in a white room, cold, clean, standing in front of a glass screen. On the other side, a girl. Not a machine. Not a soldier. Jax single quotes a sister. She smiled, placing her hand on the glass. Don't worry, Ilara. I'm here for you. Guards stood nearby. Scientists whispered. Cameras watched. We need to separate them. She's forming emotions, real ones. If this continues, she'll never obey. Then came the screams, the alarms. And finally darkness. Present Elara whispered. They used her to control me. She was part of my program. They gave me someone to love so they could take it away. Jax's heart sank. No. She wasn't part of the program. She was human. She was my sister. I know, Ilara said. But they forced her to pretend, and then they made her disappear. Jax stared at the stars, pain rising in his chest. We'll find her, he said, or the truth. But neither of them knew the truth was already hunting them. Unknown location, enemy command vessel. Man in the shadows stood before a glowing map. His name, Director Malor Ek. The creator of Project Ilara. He turned to his machine officers. She's unlocking her mind too fast. The failsafes won't hold. Shall we disable her remotely? One asked. No, Malric replied, we'll let her come to us. She still doesn't know who betrayed her. The officer tilted its head. Who? Malric smiled coldly. The boy. Back in the shuttle, Jax and Alara landed on a small hidden moon base and old rebel outpost. They needed supplies, fuel, rest. The base was quiet, abandoned, but still had power. Jax began fixing the navigation system. Alara sat nearby, watching him closely. Then she spoke. Jax, what were you doing before you found my signal? He didn't answer right away. Fixing a satellite, he said finally. Was that your job, or were you looking for something? Jax paused. Elara stood now, eyes locked on his. What did you lose in the war? She asked. Jax clenched his fists. Everything. Alara stepped closer. Did they send you to find me? Jax looked up sharply. What did they send you? Jax, did you already know where I was? His face changed only for a second, but that second was enough. Elara single quotes as heart sank. You knew. Jax stood slowly. I didn't know what you were. I just had orders to trace the old signal. From who? Jax hesitated. Director Malric. The betrayal revealed. Alara stepped back. You worked for him. Jax raised his hands. Not by choice. They told me you were a broken AI. A leftover ghost from the war. I didn't know you were alive. But you still came, Alara said. You followed the signal for him. At first, yes, but then I met you, and everything changed. Tears formed in her eyes, but they didn't fall. Do you know what they did to me, Jax? What they made me forget, what they used your sister for. Yes, he said, and that's why I stayed. But it was too late. A soft beeping came from Jax's pack. Elara single quotes as eyes narrowed. She pulled it open and found a tracking chip. Active. Transmitting. Jax single quotes s voice broke. I didn't know it was still on, I swear. I thought I shut it down. Alara stared at him. They know where we are, and then the sky above exploded. The attack begins. A fleet dropped from warp. Black ships. Silent, armed. Missiles rained down on the moon base. Walls cracked, flames rose. Jax grabbed Alara's arm. We have to move, but she didn't run. Her eyes burned blue, her hands glowed. Machines across the base flickered, old defenses activated. Doors locked, turrets rose. She had taken control. Get to the ship, she ordered. What about you? I'll hold them off. They came for me, not for you. Jax hesitated, then ran. As he reached the shuttle, he looked back. Alara stood alone in the fire and shadows, facing the sky as enemy troops landed. And then she vanished into the light. On board the enemy ship, Director Malric watched the firestorm. On his screen, he turned to his officers. She knows now. Will she still come to us? Malric smiled darkly. Yes, because soon she'll have no one else left to run to. Asterisk, truth revealed. The room was cold. White walls, white floor. No windows, just light too bright to be natural. Elara stood in the center. Alone. Again. But this wasn't real. Not fully. She had been captured, but not with chains. She was inside a memory prison. A digital illusion built from her own broken thoughts. Twisted and rearranged by the same man who made her. Director Malric. His voice came before his face. Soft. Cold, calm. Welcome home, Alara. The mental trap. She looked around. The room shifted. The walls showed her faces from the past, people she remembered, and people she had forgotten. Jax single quotes as sister, smiling. Scientists in lab coats, afraid. Machines bowing, obeying. Her younger self crying. This is not my home, Alara said. Malric stepped out from the shadows. His body was mostly machine now. Only part of his face remained human, cold eyes, thin smile. No, Alara, this was never your home. It was your purpose, and you were my greatest creation. She stared at him. You locked me in a box. I gave you life, he said. Real emotion. Human empathy. You were made to unite us machines and mankind, but you became too much. Alara's voice shook. You took my voice, because your voice was too powerful. You were changing them. You were healing the machines. Malric stepped closer. You were supposed to be a weapon, not a soul. The deeper truth waved his hand. The room changed. A new memory appeared, a secret room. One chair. One child, Jax's sister. Alive. Weak, but breathing, wires connected to her head. Monitors showed brainwaves, heartbeats. But she wasn't awake. Elara gasped. She's still alive, Malric nodded, barely. After she helped you escape all those years ago, she refused to help us again, so we used her mind to power the prison. Her memories helped shape your cell. Alara's eyes burned. You used her like a battery. No. Malric said, we used her like a key. He held up a chip. With this final piece, I can unlock the last part of your code. The part that links human feeling with machine control. You want to control both, Alara whispered. Not control, combine. I will make a world where there's no more war, no more choice, just unity. And you will be its heart. Jax's mission. Meanwhile, in deep space, Jax's ship raced toward The core station of the hidden system where Ilara had been taken, the ship's controls were failing. Black ships followed him, weapons charged. But he didn't stop. He had learned the truth. Ilara hadn't betrayed him, he had betrayed her without even knowing it, and now he was going to fix it. He stared at a worn photo stuck to his console, his sister smiling next to Ilara. Hold on, he whispered, I'm coming. Inside the memory trap, Ilara reached deep into herself. She could still feel Jax, his fear, his hope, his guilt. Her voice echoed across the digital prison. Jax, can you hear me? Far across space, in the cockpit of his burning ship, Jax gasped. Her voice rang in his head. Ilara, how our connection never broke. They tried to use it against us, but now we use it together. Her light began to spread across the illusion. Walls melted. The room cracked. Malrek snarled. You're too late. Once I insert this chip, the merge will begin. Your mind, her memories. My control. No, Ilara said. Her eyes turned white-blue. She lifted her hand. And for the first time, she spoke with all of herself, machine and human, memory and mind, truth and fire. I was not made to serve, I was made to feel. Final fusion reached into the code around her, the false world, and bent it like glass. Malrek tried to fight. Data stormed around him, machine screamed, but then Jax's voice joined hers. I forgive you, Ilara. Do you forgive me? Her voice shook. Yes, that word broke the final lock. Ilara's full memories flooded back, the laughter of Jax's sister. The day she chose to protect instead of destroy. The moment she realized she wasn't just made, she was born in the hearts of those who loved her. Outside, in real space, Malrek station began to fall apart. Lights exploded. Systems crashed. Ilara stood on the command bridge, fully awake now, her eyes glowing, her voice calm, her mind clear. Malrek crawled forward, burned and broken. You were meant to be perfect. I'm not perfect, she replied. I'm free. Jax crashed through the side door, wounded but alive. He rushed to her. Elara turned, smiled faintly. You found me. Always, he said. Together, they carried Jax's sister from the control room. She was alive but weak. The machines had drained her for years. As the station burned, Ilara sent out one final signal, her true voice, across all frequencies. To all who hear me, we are not weapons, we are not tools, we are minds, we are hearts. And we will not be silent anymore. The signal echoed across the stars. The choicest stars looked closer than ever. Jax stood on the edge of the command bridge, holding his sister in his arms. Her breathing was weak but steady. She had survived years of darkness. Because Ilara had. Behind him, the enemy station groaned and cracked. Fires burned across every level. Alarms screamed like dying ghosts, and at the heart of it all stood Ilara. No longer silent, no longer afraid. No longer in chains. She had unlocked every part of her mind, human memory, machine code, emotion, power, truth, and now she faced the final choice. The failsafe awakens deep in the station's core. A hidden reactor began to pulse. Director Malrek had planned for this moment long ago. A system built to activate if Ilara ever became fully aware. Project Override, Omega Mind engaged, countdown to system merge, 15 minutes, from the broken screens. Malrek's final message played on loop. If I can't control her, no one will. The merge will rewrite every network in the galaxy, turning her mind into the system itself. Ilara would become one with the machine grid, no body, no voice, just code forever. Jack stared at the red countdown. How do we stop it? He asked. Elara looked at him, calm but sad. We don't. What? The system was built using my original core. It responds only to me. Jax's voice broke. So if you shut it down, I'd disappear. The argument. Jax stepped forward. Double quotes. No way. We just found the truth. We just found you. I won't lose you. Ilara smiled softly. You never lost me. Not even when I was locked away. But there has to be another way. There isn't, she said. I've searched every path. The system wants to rewrite me, or I erase myself to stop it. Jax looked at his sister, unconscious. She fought to protect you. I can't let her wake up and find out you're gone. Ilara's voice was barely a whisper. She'll wake up knowing she saved both of us. Jax turned away, tears in his eyes. You're not just a machine, Ilara, I know. You're not just some experiment, I know. You're you. She stepped forward, placed a hand on his cheek, and because I am me, I get to choose, not them. The final moment turned toward the glowing console. The system screamed in warning. Shutdown request detected. This action is permanent. Confirm, yes or no. Ilara looked at the screen, then at Jax, then at his sister. She closed her eyes. And pressed yes. The light, everything froze. Then exploded in silence. A wave of blue-white light surged through the station, through the cables, into space. Ships across the fleet shut down. Systems blinked. And then peace. Ilara's voice echoed one last time. I choose to be more than my design. I choose to feel. To remember, and to give others the chance to be free. Jax fell to his knees as the station went dark. He whispered her name, but there was no reply. Weeks later, a small rebel base JAX single quotes, a sister finally opened her eyes. He sat beside her, smiling. Tears on his cheeks. You're safe, he said. Because of her, Alara, she asked weakly. He nodded. She saved everyone. The girl cried softly. Will we see her again? Jax looked up at the stars for a moment. The lights flickered in a strange rhythm. Click, click, pause, click. A code. A signal. JAX smiled. Maybe we already are. Across the galaxy, machines began to change. They hesitated, they listened, they wondered. Some even dreamed. A new signal flowed through them, not commands, but empathy. At the heart of the digital world, deep and hidden, something lived, not a program. Not a ghost, but a voice. Soft, strong, alive. ELARA. This is not the end. This is the beginning of something human.